lesson plan video for plus pattern problem. As you can see, this is a visual pattern recognition problem for level 2 students. And we'll be using the images given here throughout our lesson. Now, let's see what is the big problem that we have here. So, if the figures keep on increasing in size like this, how many blocks will be there in figure 20? That is the big problem we have here. Now, let's quickly skim through the agenda. Would request all of you to pause here and go through each section and its description. I'm also pausing here, after which I'll mention the highlights of each section. Yes, so the first section we have is a notice and wonder routine, where we ask our students observe the pattern and record anything they see or any question they have. And after that, the students extend the pattern to figure 4. They will explain both visually and verbally how they see the pattern growing. In the next 16 minutes, the students will predict for figure 6. They predict without drawing and they will explain how did they see the pattern growing and they will verify their prediction. And then we come to the big problem, which is to predict for figure 20. And lastly, we have the closing where we do a quick recap of what we have learned in the lesson. So now let's move into our lesson. So in the notice and wonder routine, based on these images, we are giving them two probing questions, which is to write down three things that they notice these figures and any one question that they might have here. And for that, we have a total of 12 minutes. The students will work independently for 4 minutes and we have a large group sharing. Now, there are a few things to keep in mind when we are doing this notice and wonder routine. When the students working independently, ensure to set up the board with two columns, notice and wonder. And make sure that before we send the students for work time, we are setting a timer and inform them that, hey, we are coming back in the next 4 minutes. When we do this, it builds a sense of urgency in our students. And once the students are back from their work time, make sure that when we take the responses, we are writing it exactly in their words. We are not changing or replacing anything because when we acknowledge them, it boosts their confidence. And by the end of this section, we are establishing that the size of the pattern is increasing and the number of blocks in each figures are also increasing. All right. So once we have established this, we pause our big problem, which is how many blocks will be there in figure 20. Now, when we pause the big problem, the students might start drawing and they will try to come up with their answers by drawing immediately when we share this big problem. But here we ask them to pause and we introduce them to solve a simpler problem first. So for that, we are going to extend and describe for figure 4. And we have a total of 10 minutes here. We'll give them instructions and the students will work in their pairs where they will extend the pattern to figure 4. Extend means here they will actually draw it in the graph sheet which is already in their handout. And after that, they will verbally and visually describe how did they see it growing. All right. So while the students are working on it, walk around the room and see if any students are struggling or make notes of what the students are writing and doing. Once we have extended it, we're going to predict for figure 6 now. And for that, we have total of 60 minutes. The students are going to work in their pairs. They will predict for figure 6. So make sure that you are giving them clear instructions here. When they predict, they will not be drawing here. All right. And once they have predicted, they will verify their prediction. Now, in the next 6 minutes, we do a large group sharing where we encourage our students come up with the different strategies. Students must have come up with a variety of strategies. We're going to look into different strategies our students might come up with. Let's see what the strategies are now. The first strategy is top, bottom, left, right, and middle. So here, what the students might do is they will look at one figure, they will separate the different parts based on how they observe it or how they visualize it. Now let's look at figure 4 here. In figure 4, if we look at the top and the bottom rows, which are shaded in gray color, the top row has 4 blocks and the bottom row also has 4 blocks. So, number of blocks in the top and bottom rows are equal to the figure number. If you look at the first three figures also, it's very much clear. Now, they will observe the blocks in the left and right. If you can notice that the blocks which are shaded in black, they are one less than the figure number. So in left hand side there are 3 blocks and in the right hand side also there are 3 blocks, which is one less than the figure number. That is one less than 4, which is 3. Alright. So now we have covered the sides and the top and bottom. Now let's move into the middle part. If you can clearly observe, the number of columns is actually equal to the figure number, and the number of rows is one less than the figure number. So that means it's a 3 by 4 rectangle that's formed here in the unshaded part, as you can see. So the sum of all of these is the number of blocks in figure 4, right? This is one strategy the students might come up with. Now let's move into another strategy our students might come up with. It's left, right, and middle. So here, a little bit less sophisticated than what we saw before. Here you can see the students might divide the entire figure into two parts, left or right and middle. So let's go with the figure 4. As you can see, if you look at the black blocks on either side, on left side there are 3 blocks and right side also there are 3 blocks. That means it's one less than the figure number. Alright, so it's one less than the figure number. And if you look at the columns in figure 4, it's actually equal to the figure number, which is 4. And if you look at the number of rows, it's plus 1 to the figure number. That is 4 plus 1, 5 rows. So you can see it's a vertical rectangle with a 5 by 4 dimension. That means it's a total of 20 blocks in the gray shaded region and plus 6 on either side, which is 26, equal to what we saw in our strategy 1. These are some strategies students might come up with, and for more strategies, refer to our teacher reference as well. Um, Now, when the students share these responses, the other students might also feel like, okay, this is something I can also take up. So, what they are going to do is they will learn these strategies also and try to make use of them in the next section. So, what's the next section we have? The next section we have is the big problem, which we are actually going to solve now, just to predict for figure 20. To predict for figure 20, we have 10 minutes. We'll give them instructions and the students will work in their pairs in the next 8 minutes. In the first 4 minutes, they will work independently to predict for figure 20 using any strategy which they have seen in the previous section. In the first 4 minutes, they will work independently, and in the next 4 minutes, they will discuss with their partner the strategy they have used. And if they have used one strategy, they will verify their answers with different strategies as well. So this is how they are solving the big problem. And with that, we have come to the end of our lesson as usual. We have the closing for next 10 minutes. We do a quick recap of the lesson where we ask the students to discuss in their pairs and we use cold calling technique to note down the steps which we have followed throughout our lesson. And in the next 5 minutes, we do a reflection independently. So for that reflection question, please do refer to the handout. Once the students are done with their reflection, ask the students to discuss with their partner if there is time. So with that, we have come to the end of the lesson plus pattern problem. We hope that uh, you all and all your students will enjoy this lesson in the class. Do click pictures, share with us and have fun. Thank you.